What's up, guys? George Balekji here with Boston has entered the chat. But hey, check out the latest episode of Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcast. Travis Thomas and myself run through the scenarios of what's going to happen with picks 1, 2, and 3 before the Pats are up at 4 in the draft. We also take another look back at BC's Pro Day and talk about options, including Ozzy Trapillo and Drew Kendall at the offensive line spots. And then finally, our mailbag we like to do during the week. Your comments from YouTube on the show on Foxborough Rush. That's Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcast, with new episodes dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. What's up? Let's get to it. It's Boston has entered the chat. George Balekji here with Kasey Hudson. Case, how we doing today?
We're good. We are overall good.
Nice.
I told you guys, like, I'm running into the office. Like, I have nothing to complain about besides, like, just overloading my schedule and my OCD working against me today versus for me, but small issues.
All right.
Yeah. How are you doing in comparison?
I'm doing good. I'm excited what we're talking about in today's show. We're going to be taking a look at the MLB season predictions. We're going to pick our division winners, pennant winners, World Series winners, give out some wild card teams as well, and what our outlook is for the Red Sox in the postseason. Also, Kristian Campbell, the sound from him on how he found out he was making the Red Sox opening day roster and lineup. It was awesome to hear that. We'll go through what's trending as always, and then we have Athan and Jason for the Ringside review for the latest in Monday Night Raw as well. But let's get right into it. MLB season technically started in Japan. That's MLB for you. Like, let's have Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers, playing in Japan, 6 a.m. as March Madness begins.
Right, and try to make sure that all of us set our alarms to participate in it.
No,
yet.
not
Let's
doing
just
that.
play catch up.
No, no chance. Have the Cubs out there too. In Boston, the season begins on Thursday. Excited that series being out in Texas. So let's run through we'll start with the AL East. Who do you think ends up winning the division? How do you kind of see the division all, breaking down too?
For the AL East?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the fun part is going to be the fact that the margin between each of these teams is just so tight. Like, and for the most case, like the top 3 teams per se, could really be anybody sitting on top. But then that brings the conversation a little bit tighter to home, especially considering what Boston did in the offseason, the names that are on the roster, the excitement that's backing all of this, the expectation following to suit. I mean, the larger conversation here is that they can go from landing in that 3rd spot last year, missing the postseason, to sitting atop of the AL East. And I'm on board for it, George. What about you? Yeah,
I like the Red Sox in this a lot. It's 2 parts too. It's the investments they made in lineup. You bring in an Alex Bregman, who's going to be the 3-4 hitter for this lineup. Mm-hmm. It's what he does for the guys like the Jaron Durans and the Rafael Devers that are hitting in front of him. Everyone behind him, like a Tristan Casas, with Kristian Campbell being in the lineup too. Really good line drive swing, really good athlete, and just lifts up the defense defensively as well. And you just think of the balance of this lineup where there's a lefties really in the top of the lineup, then Bregman as a righty breaks it up, Trevor Story as a righty. And this is also a team that, while Wilyer Abreu is looking to hit in like that 7-8 spot, it could be Roman Anthony one day.
Right.
And the depth and the flexibility they have of what a Marcelo Meyer can do. Of course, with Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer starting the season in AAA. But also, I expect like breakout years, especially from a Ceddanne Rafaela. Last season was his first full season at Major League Baseball. Struggled a lot at the plate, chasing outside of the zone. A lot of swings and misses on the first pitch, getting behind accounts, not doing himself any favors. But when he gets on base, and he also has a sneaky power bat, like that's when he's lethal. And it's also when you look at the Orioles with Gunnar Henderson, he's going to start the season banged up. The Shane McClanahan and the Rays, he has an injury now. The Yankees themselves, like, look at when they were on top in that Game 5 of the World Series. It was Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto. Garrett Cole has Tommy John surgery. Giancarlo Stanton is dealing with tendonitis in both elbows, and Juan Soto's with the Mets. The injuries for the Yankees, as still they have a powerful lineup. The add of a Cody Bellinger helps them a ton. They have a good bullpen. Mm-hmm. I just think that this division is truly wide open, while the Blue Jays have to battle with what are they doing with Bo Bichette? What are they doing with Vlad Jr.?
Right.
It's a Red Sox with the rotation where it's at now, and it's not 100% healthy, but their top guys are there. They've built a deeper bullpen. I think they're still going to add. And I just think this is an improved defense. I really like the Red Sox when it comes to the AL East.
Oh, 100%. And like you said, it's wide open, but if we wanted to create a little bit more distinction in the race per se, perfect picture to say that the Yankees are not up to par in terms of like health being on their side with the guys that they're going to rely on to get them through those crucial moments from the season to the postseason. Orioles being what they are, but then the Rays, I mean, outside of them getting a bit younger, outside of them almost in a rebuild, but not wanting to call it a rebuild, let's take it to another level of like the chaos around the stadium and, where they're going to be practicing and readjusting to now where they're going to be playing. Like that's going to take a moment of acclimatization for that entire roster. So you're also paving a better picture for the Red Sox to come through. They bolster the infield defensively. You've got these heavy hitter names. You've got Crochet, who's now in the Cy Young conversation already before the season gets going. And the prospect pool. While we talk Kristian Campbell, there's been a lot of chatter over the last week and a half, especially from spring training, saying that like Marcelo Meyer has made a case to be on this roster too eventually and help out. And there's so many different looks that this team can serve because of the options and the depth that they have both left and right. So I feel like they're going to be able to deliver against each and every opponent and be very mentally strong when it comes to taking that next step. And that can be a degree of separation in this AL East. Yeah,
to me, in the American League overall, and we'll get into it, I just feel like it's a wide open league. And the Red Sox easily vie for the pennant. It's with any team you talk about. It's like, as long as you're relatively healthy. And that's what this is for this Red Sox team, too.
Yeah.
Crochet's never put together a full season. We'll see if Tanner Houck can get back to being healthy like he was a few years ago. Bayo, already banged up to start. Garrett Whitlock, can he be healthy? But then also the Trevor Stories, the Tristan Casases. Can those guys make it through an entire season? Can Rafael Devers be as close to 100% as he possibly can? Because that's all the holdups with this team in this lineup, but that's what every team deals with. What about AL Central? What do you think in AL Central?
I was a little torn on this one, but I'm going to lean with the Twins. I'm going to lean with them for a number of reasons, but the one that stands out to me the most is like they could potentially be one of the top teams, if not the top team out there with the most depth when it comes to the pitching pool. And they're going to have to utilize that in a very meticulous way and take advantage of it. I mean, in terms of roster cuts alone, they've had to have a lot of conversations. They got a little banged up during spring training as well, but I just think kind of having that pitching rotation and having that flexibility is going to help them because the Tigers are going to be nipping at their heels. A lot of people kind of want to go with that in that direction. And this is probably one that could be even closer than the East, AL East more particularly. But I'm going to go with the Twins. Bad taste in their mouth after last season. You got a lot of fans that were riding high over the past 3 seasons, just kind of trailing what they've been able to put together. But now they've got to find a better way to execute. So it's the depth that stands out to me for the Twins.
Yeah, I think when you look at the rotation too, it's Lopez, Ryan Ober, their top 3 pitchers. Those are all guys that could have sub-4 ERAs. All get up there as an inning pitched as well, like 150, 160 plus. That for the Twins, where the lineup is like a balanced lineup when it comes to their bats. Not overly powerful, but get on base, steal bags, and can still hit home runs. The rotation being deep, I see it there. For that same reason, that's why I go Tigers out of the AL Central. Tariq Skubal, he's going to be in the Cy Young convo as he always is. They bring Jack Flaherty back. Jackson Jobe, who might start as their number 5, can work his way up to being top 3 in the rotation. He should make a leap. And I just like that they have that core of Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, Colt Keith, that are all productive hitters. Again, they're similar to the Twins where there's no like overly powerful bat. There isn't anyone that can just dip and jack their way through. But I think the experience he got from last postseason, if Spencer Torkelson can be the guy that, as a DH for them, can be that powerful bat, it adds a lot. I just like that they have 3 good pitchers and they have a balanced lineup. They don't overly rely on one facet of the game or the next. And also this AL Central division, there's no real like threat out of it.
Yeah.
Where the Red Sox are good. Like they are AL pennant winning, contending good. For the AL Central with the Tigers, I even think the same with the Twins. It's just like, who can be the best out of the worst division? That's how I look at this. And I think the Tigers, they don't have anything that really jumps out aside from Skubal and Jobe and their core, but like that's it. It's just who can win this division. I think the Tigers can be that team.
Yeah, you're just looking for somebody that's going to have like one extra stride of consistency. And it's a good point. I guess I could also be getting caught up in the narrative of like Tigers made it seem like they were going to do a lot more in the offseason, and then, it was it was pretty, I almost said gnarlyly quiet, but it was just like on the calmer side. But the simplicity could play in their favor because, as you said, I mean, considering the division, they may have not needed to. I'm also considering the fact that they were heavy in the hunt of grabbing Bregman themselves and couldn't close the deal, obviously. So I wonder what kind of gap that leaves in their lineup when you were reaching for a guy like Bregman, didn't get him, and then you have to rely on the simplicity of like what you have. Yeah.
It's also with the team, like talk about this division. It's the Royals in this. They could be that 3rd team. I think they're a wild card team. I don't like their pitching. But with Bobby Witt, they have the likely AL MVP. They added Jonathan India, who could be the leadoff hitter. Pasquantino at first. Salvador Perez, of course, the vet. as their catcher. That 1 through 4 in that lineup, especially 2 through 4, with how good Bobby Witt Jr. was just last season, leading the MLB in hits, batting average, still had 32 home runs, like a 30-30 guy, and is so elite defensively. They don't have pitchers that will shut you down, but they have pitchers in Reagans and Lugo that can eat up innings. But that's why, again, I just go to this Tigers and with the rotation why I like them. But like another team to throw out there, you have to talk about the Royals because it very well could be on the reverse where we see the Royals win the division and maybe it's Tigers or Twins end up being that wild card team that comes out of the AL Central. What about the AL West? This is another one where it could be anyone's division, and the same thing, we can see multiple wild card teams come out of this division too.
I know, could be a little bit wild, but I am pulling for the Rangers on this one. That's the only time anybody will hear me say that in any context, and it's only because it's baseball. But I like the fact that when you're looking at baseball operations, I was looking at an article by quoting Chris Young, and when you have your operations guy saying, hey, every target that we needed to hit in the offseason has been hit and acquired, that gives you a level of confidence, and you're coming from a team that has that championship caliber. It's not so far removed. It was just back in 2023. They didn't have to do anything too crazy. They add some power to their lineup. So I think that they did just enough to push them over the point that they couldn't get past last season. So again, it's just more so from an operations perspective. You hit those acquired targets, everybody can stay healthy. Then I don't see why the Rangers couldn't pull through. And then you get a signing of Jake Berger added in addition. And then Jock Pederson, especially because of his numbers. I mean, through 344 games, over 1,200 appearances at bat, you just got good numbers coming in to bolster this lineup as well. Yeah,
it's definitely, especially in him with Jock Peterson adding that bat, like that can be that power bat in this. If Jacob DeGrom can be healthy, and he's a guy that said like, hey, look, he's pitched 41 innings the last few years, and he's willing to take velocity off of his pitches if that is what keeps him healthy. If they can get 150 innings pitched out of him, that changes the complexity of this team. I go with just the old crown, and it's the Astros to me. They add Christian Walker at first. It's 30 home run power. Altuve now playing in left is going to take some while to get used to. But with a guy like Isaac Paredes at third, we know what Jeremy Pena is at short. Altuve moving to left shows the selflessness of him. He's still a 20-20 guy with 800 OPS. And then on top of, they have Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown. Those top two pitchers and Framber Valdez being in a contract year, that's what you want. And on top of it, they still have Yordan Alvarez, who's one of the best bats in baseball. That's the same thing, though, with the AL West. I could see the Rangers. I personally think they're a wild card team, but that just shows the margin between them and the Astros. I see both teams getting into the postseason, and that's how it could shake out in that division. All right, shifting to the NL. The NL East, this one's fun because Braves are in that. Mets are in that. Braves are looking to get healthy. We'll see when they get Ronald Acuna back. But this is a team in the Mets that it's so hard to overlook them because of them adding Juan Soto and already how good that lineup was.
I know. And like as excited as I was for our New York team, as excited as I was for the Mets, the New York hatred for me is just like, it spews. I'm sorry, y'all. But my biggest thing when it comes to the Mets, and I kind of put them in the same category as the Yankees, is just kind of like what that execution, what that polish off looks like when you get to those pivotal points of the season. So of course Soto is that gamer that can help tilt them over the edge, but just kind of hearing some woes and some question marks around their depth in their rotation, and like if they have enough to pull them through to kind of top in this division. The Braves I wanted to pull for in a number of ways, but the injuries are just too concerning to me. You really don't know who's going to come back into the lineup when. I know for Acuna Jr., they're saying no to opening day, but not too far after that.
It could be like May, he's back.
Exactly. So like the impact of your key guys that can come in and actually help send this team over that execution point, it just has too many question marks for me. So with this one, I had to lean into the Phillies. They're going to want some revenge coming out of last year. They add lefty Jesus Luzardo to their lineup, providing depth to their rotation. You got Trey Turner, you got Bryce Harper to polish off the other side, Nick Castellanos, who I loved watching anytime I finally got a chance to watch a baseball game. So just considering some of the moving pieces that came out of the Braves and then just all of the injuries that impact that, I think the Phillies just kind of look like more of the polished off team. Less question marks. You have an answer for almost everything when it comes to depth, rotation, who's going to answer the call when it comes to batting. Are they powerful? Can they switch things up? And Phillies kind of check that box for me.
Yeah, that lineup's deep. A lot of power. Trey Turner, just like a 20-25 guy in the middle of like a Schwarber, Bryce Harper, 1-2-3 part of their lineup. And the guy like Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto getting up there in age, but they're deep. We'll see what they do with the pitching.
Proper veteran presence.
Yeah. And that's a front office that always adds at the deadline. I get the hesitancy with the Mets because like Sean Manaea starting the season with a strained oblique. This is a division that, because the Mets and the Braves are both so talented, that having anyone starting the season slow or maybe just being behind the 8 ball all year can doom them. But I just look at when you have Lindor, Soto, Alonso, top 3 in your lineup, they're going to combine for 100 home runs. How good of a hitter. Juan Soto is the best hitter in all of baseball, so what he does for everyone behind him. And then they have guys like Mark Vientos at third, Jose Siri as well. They're deeper in the lineup and further back, but like they are meant to have a breakout year, and they're on pace to have that. And if they are guys that can be 50 to 20 home runs, and the same thing with the stolen bases at that. And then again, if you get on base and you just make sure to get back to that top of the lineup, when it's Lindor, Soto, Alonso, pulling a lot of weight but doing it, along with a good bullpen led by Minter and Buto, I like the makeup of this Mets team a lot. And for how good they were last year, and this is a team, too, where by ownership, it's not even front office, you know they're going to add at the deadline. That's a team that I bet on, but that was the same. I'm looking at the Braves, and it's tough to go against them, especially with they weren't the healthiest all last season. You expect big bounce-back years, and how good their corner infielders can be. And then you look at the Phillies, too. So it's just a fun division all around. What about NL Central? What are you thinking there?
Let's see where I went for the Central. I just went with the Cubs, and if I'm being honest, I don't have any conviction as to why. I'm just like, Cubs.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with that one. That's where I leaned in the mix, but I see we matched on that, so
yeah,
maybe you can give it better.
I just like their 1 through 4 in the lineup. Ian Happ to Suzuki to adding Kyle Tucker, who's an outfielder. That's the big bat. Again, it's no outstanding power, but it's all 20-plus home run power that those 4 guys can bring. And they have who could be the Rookie of the Year in Matt Shaw, starting opening day at third base, just 23 years old. I hold my breath with their rotation. It's Justin Steele as the ace and then a bunch of guys. But if Shoto Amananga can make a big leap, again, it's all these guys. You want to see them take that next step forward. If he could be the number 2 in the rotation and pitch well, then it changes this team. When it comes to the NL Central for me, I like what the Cubs have in their 1 through 4 in their lineup. And you expect some younger guys on the back end, along being led by Justin Steele in the rotation to make noise. This was a division, same thing for me, though. Like, just looking at it, where the Cardinals are still far back. The Pirates, I'm not sure. The Reds are just in amok. And the Brewers, they need to get past their cheap leadership and ownership in a way, and I just don't know if they can do that. But this is a Cubs team that at least they have a good top of the lineup. They have a good defense. They have some young talent, and they have an ace. Right. So it's like the simple boxes you want checked, and I can see Justin Steele really doing well for them. NL West, I think that's the easiest one.
Yeah.
Dodgers.
That one's hands down. I mean, you still got Athan on the roster. You add some pieces that, again, can perfectly pinch into the mix here. They got, Yates and Leclerc from the Rangers. So you're talking about just, like, doing just enough. They didn't have to go crazy here, and I feel like Otani's just going to continue to thrive and pull this team into the fight with them.
Yeah, it's when you have Otani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman, all 3 have won MVP as your top 3. Then you have Teoscar Hernandez, who's going to hit 35 home runs. Then it's Max Muncy, Will Smith, Michael Conforto. Just every spot of their lineup, you're like, those guys are either the best or they're like top 5 in their position.
Right. Maybe even top 3, arguably.
Exactly. Like the only one, it's just maybe Conforto is the one you wouldn't give that. And then on top of what the rotation is, where you have Blake Snell, you have Roki Sasaki, Yamamoto, again, struggled to start last year, but in the playoffs got that experience. When Tyler Glasnow is fully 100% and off of the IL. Tony Gonsolin's waiting. Clayton Kershaw. The Dodgers team is just stacked as always, so
yeah,
that's an easy one for them to win the NL West.
Same. And I'm rooting for Glass. I mean, former Tampa Bay area guy. Just health needs to get on his side. So, yeah, that one was a hands-down lock when it came.
So who, when it comes to AL winner, NL winner, let's go NL since we're already on it. You think Dodgers win the NL?
Yep, sticking with the Dodgers for that one.
It could come down to them and the Braves. If Matt Olson, Austin Riley,
Sales.
Chris Sales gets back to being Cy Young, and Ronald Acuna, if he's good and 100% coming back in May, maybe you won't get him 100% until June, but if he can be okay, they sign Jerks and Profar, they can make that threat. It's just this Dodgers team is so deep.
Yeah.
In every aspect, it's tough to see anyone dethrone them. What about the AL? Who do you have for the AL?
I went with the Red Sox.
Nice.
I really like where they're at in terms of everything that you described, adding defensively, adding power, the fact that they can still make additions to this roster without doing anything too crazy. And then the prospects are just, they had a really strong showing at least this final week and a half when it came to spring training. And then the veteran presence. We had Liam Hendricks on Unobstructed Views the other week, and I mean, he basically declared a parade for Boston. And when you have a veteran coming in with that much confidence and speaking to like the development of the group as a whole, and everyone just kind of having their role and being able to facilitate their role, it just gives you a lot of confidence in what this group can do. And I think that they're just set up in a way, and they've got a handful of players that can just bring so much versatility to the lineup also, and that kind of stands out as a whole to me when it comes to the East and overall the AL.
Yeah, it's again, this team, if they're relatively healthy when it comes time for the playoffs, easily going to break that 81 mark they've been on the last 2 years. We'll get back to the postseason first time since 2021. It is Bregman with everything he brings and being that righty bat and a guy that can easily be 25, 30 home runs with his pull power in Fenway. But he's just a leader. He's a voice in the clubhouse that they need on and off the field, everything he does. So when you are going to have young prospects like a Kristian Campbell or Roman Anthony or Marcelo Meyer come up, they need that Alex Bregman in the clubhouse. And the same thing if Jarren Duran's the same type of player, just such a threat with doubles and triples, so good defensively, still has power with his bat, is a 30 steal guy that he can be. That leading off the lineup, the one hesitancy I have is we'll see how Rafael Devers is being a DH.
Yeah.
If you're not playing in the field every day, that can mess with the player's psyche. So how does he adapt to that different type of role? If you're not with the position players, we could see him like being lost for a week and a half, or a few series. But just if he can find his consistency and that bat takes off the second half of the season, he needs to be patient as a DH. Red Sox need to be patient with him as a DH, where if you don't like what you see the first month or two of the season consistently, just wait, and then him being a pro and him being a vet should be able to find his way, especially when he's at his peak power. He's one of the best hitters in all of baseball.
Right.
What about, so Red Sox, Dodgers, we both have them winning the pennants, which I love. World Series winner?
Dodgers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think Dodgers too. It's just
not getting too ahead of ourselves.
Making the postseason would be terrific for the Red Sox this year. They have not been in the playoffs since 2021. Like, keep that in mind.
Yeah. I know Devin said World Series, here we come for the Red Sox.
That would be a great, like, just overachieving, just outstanding year for them.
Right.
This Dodgers team is all world. And like, that's a card they're dealt, which sucks, but that's how it is.
100%. It's the only team out there that has, if not zero question marks to anything, that for the upcoming season, the least amount of question marks. And you can't work against that. So I'm going to go with the Sox. But I have a question for you, because we've talked about the Cy Young. We've mentioned two names potentially. I've mentioned how Garrett Crochet is getting in the conversation for it, but then everyone's saying a healthy Chris Sales, it's a done deal for him. What would you pick between the two?
For Cy Young?
Yeah. Both healthy, both live up to the expectancy of what they're supposed to deliver this coming season. Where would you go?
Just seeing it from Chris Sale. So I would go Chris Sale on that one. I mean, that's a guy that almost led MLB in strikeouts. He didn't have back spasms on like the extra baseball game on the last day of the season. Crochet, though, as a lefty, is so talented. But what Sale would do without Max Fried now being there with the Braves, and that being arguably the second best team in my eyes in the NL, if he can carry them that way, I just think you've seen it from Chris Sale. But Crochet, the big lefty and what he is, and the insane rate that he strikes out batters, like 200 plus Ks in less than 150 innings pitched last season. That's an insane rate. I wouldn't be surprised to see Crochet win it. And of course, Crochet being in the AL, Chris Sale being in the NL, they both can win Cy Young. So that's the best part. It's a weird part of MLB. You always have two MVPs.
Yeah.
And they don't have that one,
just
but
which way
they
you'd
both
lean.
can win it. I just think if you give me both healthy, who more likely this season, Chris Sale. But of course, with them being in different leagues, they both can win
have
it.
a chance.
Hey, if you want to watch the Sox season, make sure to check out the Red Sox and opening day on NESN 360 at a all new, reduced price for a NESN 360 annual plan. Just $20 a month paid annually, and for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. So talking about the Red Sox, all the excitement, check out Kristian Campbell. And this is him taking everyone through how he found out the news he was making the opening day roster and what his reaction was. Check it out right here.
It was a dream come true for sure. It was really exciting. I had to call my family, call my mom, dad, brother, and sister, let everybody know. But it was cool.
What was their reaction?
They were yelling on the phone. They were super excited for me. It's definitely something I worked for my whole life, so it's really a special moment.
When did Alex tell you?
I found out after the last spring training game. After that game.
Before you got on the plane, like after the game?
Yes.
What did he tell you? Like, you remember how it went down?
Pretty much, he just asked me about all the different people. Okay, it was a little bit of a backstory behind it. He asked me about all the different guys that play professional baseball that went to Georgia Tech, and he gave me a list of different guys and everything, and he told me that my name would be added to that list. So it was a special moment for sure.
It's not that long ago that you were at Georgia Tech. You know, like we're talking less than 2 years. You were still playing college baseball. Has it set in that that what you've done to go from there to here has kind of been unusual?
Yeah, I think it's different for sure. I guess to some it might be a little unusual, but it's been a great process so far, and they've made it really easy for me and made it comfortable for me. So it's been a great opportunity and great time so far.
Obviously, you were invited to big league camp, so that tells you, okay, there's an opportunity here. But how was it going through camp and trying to figure, were you at different times trying to make sense of are they gonna have me in the big leagues? Am I going to be in AAA to start the year?
Really, I just took it one day at a time. I mean, from the get-go, the goal was to make the big league roster, and really, honestly, I just took it one day at a time, play one game at a time, focus on what I could focus on, and let the decision do its thing, let them decide on what they're going to do. But they made a decision, so it's good.
When you look back on camp, you came here with an opportunity. You're here at the end of it, having seized the opportunity. How good does that feel? And when you look back on the work you put in over the last 6-7 weeks, what stands out the most? What was the biggest challenge coming in that you met to make this happen?
Really, I look at it as I've been working my whole life for the moment, so it's not even about the last 6 and 7 weeks. It's about the last 15 years, in my opinion. So it's a really big opportunity for me and my family. It's a really big deal coming from Chattanooga, Tennessee, all the way to Boston now. It's a big deal to everybody in my family, so I think that's more important. And so, yeah, I mean, camp was camp, and got to talk to a lot of people, learn a lot from a lot of veteran players and a lot from the coaches and staff. But it goes a little bit farther back.
That's Kristian Campbell, rookie for the Red Sox opening day roster. That's awesome. I love the way he was asked, you know how many guys have been, in the majors from Georgia Tech. I wonder if you knew Nomar Garciaparra, Jason Varitek, Mark Teixeira all went to Georgia Tech, but now he will be a guy, especially joining Jason Varitek, one of the position coaches for the Red Sox, and Nomar, who played for the Red Sox, obviously was a legend here in Boston. Now it's Kristian Campbell out of Georgia Tech to the Red Sox.
Yeah, that setup stood out to me as well, but I'm also partially thinking, I don't want to translate on his behalf, but I think he totally blacked out in that moment. you know?
Right?
It felt like that moment, and the fact that he kept repeating the backstory and what this means to his family and the transition going from where he grew up to college to now getting that response when you're getting ready to fly out.
Yeah.
So amazing story, but I think everybody from the NESN team covering him on the ground to him himself realized that he's earned it, and it's going to be exciting to see what he does with that opportunity. He seems super humble and just ready to kind of capitalize as much as possible.
Yeah, won't even be 23 when he's making his MLB debut too. And for how good he can be at second base, for how he can play outfield, which he's done when he's been in the minors in Georgia Tech, primarily a middle infielder there. He's the type of athlete that a guy like Alex Cora absolutely loves. That's what he loves, his swing, but he loves everything he provides on the base path and just there in the middle infield as well. And that's a kid that is young, won't even be 23, but will just raise the floor of this Red Sox defense, and that's what they need so desperately. So awesome to hear the sound from him there and him recounting that experience. And Red Sox opening day is just one day away. To get yourself ready for the season, make sure to check out NESN's Baseball Podcast, 310 to Left. You can find on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever else you get your podcasts. All right, quick trending. One topic, sucks to talk about. JuJu Watkins, season ending, torn ACL. Got it in a tough collision, just taking the ball up court, collides with the defender, and her knee buckled under her. Will undergo surgery, begin rehab, so obviously her season is done. Next season could be in jeopardy. Most importantly, you just want her to be okay. She's one of the biggest stars in all of basketball, and the women's tournament lost one of its biggest stars.
Yeah, big time. And plus, the story that she's been for USC, she's you don't always want to shoulder it for an athlete, but she has been the reason why they pushed past UCLA, the number 1 seed, the top team when you're talking about the top of the top, not only in this tournament, but in this previous season or this ongoing season. And more importantly, just like the level of play, like the number of 30-point performances that she's had, but it's how quickly she can translate to the defensive side and like be so stout and be such a strong point for her team defensively, helping USC being one of the strongest defensive teams out there. And I thought that's what was going to carry them through this tournament. So it's a big blow, obviously, for USC. But like when we talked to Michael Carter
Williams
the other day and we put them on the spot and we were like, who would you pick right now from college basketball? And it was like JuJu. So like, you don't want it to change the player's stock either. So I'm thinking about her, the road to recovery ahead. I'm just glad medicine is where it is now, but what a blow.
Yeah, and she'll turn 20 in July. Can't be in the WNBA until she's 22. But that's part of like this tournament. This is a USC team. We were hoping for an Elite Eight matchup with them and UConn. K-State's still in the bracket. That's a good team. We'll see how everything falls on Kiki Irefan, who transferred from Stanford to USC. Good forward, averaging almost 19 points a game. But it takes the air out of this tournament.
Yeah.
And for her to possibly, we'll see what the timeline for recovery is. If she loses next regular season too, like that just stinks for the sport. Because JuJu is the best player in the country. She's a reason USC is where they're at. She's such a special talent of basketball, period, not just women's hoops. That's what's tough to see her go down. And this was a tournament that you wanted to build on the excitement of last year with Caitlin Clark making another run, with South Carolina winning another trophy, Dawn Staley leading her team again as one of the best coaches in all of basketball. No JuJu Watkins, just in this tournament in general, it just takes away so much, and that's what stinks. Paige Beckers is still there with UConn. We know that UCLA is still out there too, but just no USC and all this, that's what hurts.
Yeah, big time. And like you mentioned the matchups that we were all looking forward to as well. I mean, considering like from a coaching perspective, you've heard them talk about the caliber of this locker room. You've heard them talk about like even though JuJu is JuJu, her voice has carried a lot of these gals and like motivated them and inspired them. So like you mentioned Kiki being in the mix, but Avery Howell is just as effective when needing to step up and kind of fill in some of those gaps as well. And then Aaliyah Gales, you want to see more come out of her. So there's a few younger people that we'll see if they can help make this roster and this team like equally what it's been in the absence of JuJu.
Yeah, it'll be tough. That Elite Eight matchup, I was looking so forward to it.
I
Her
know.
against Paige Beckers. The UConn USC. We'll have to wait till next tournament. Still excited to see Beckers and UConn try and make a run as well. Hey, you want to hear more about all Boston sports? Check out Nesson's Daily Sports Podcast. Boston is enter the chat. You can enter the conversation by tweeting at us using the hashtag NessonChat or email the chat@nesson.com. Boston has entered the chat is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. Now throw it to our guys Athan and Matt Colpitts with the latest Ringside review for Monday Night Raw.
Welcome into another edition of Ringside Review. I am your host, Athan Hristodulu, and joined alongside today by Matt Colpitts, another member of the Nesson crew here. We're reviewing, of course, Monday Night Raw, all the action going down. I've got to say first, Matt, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Pleasure to have you. Are you being as affected as I am by these like mid-afternoon show times right now? Because they are kind of killing me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not a morning person, and I know, mid-afternoon, I got a little bit of sleeping in, but nah, it's still just throwing off my day. But here we are, and I'm honored to finally be on. Been wanting to talk wrestling with you for a while. When I saw that Nesson started doing these podcasts, I was so excited and watching them all, so honored to be a guest.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you on, man. But yeah, these mid-afternoon shows are killing me. I guess I understand where our friends across the pond, I feel like for years I've been seeing them complain about show times. Now, granted, they're watching at it sounds like 1 or 2 in the morning when Raw's live for us, which is also not ideal, but I'm starting to understand where they're coming from now. But we're going to dive right into it. Cena, Rhodes 2, essentially their second matchup in the ring promo. John Cena basically coming out and telling everybody he wants to ruin professional wrestling. And I don't know if you've been able to catch some of the last couple of shows that we've talked about this whole setup here, especially the reaction to last week with Cena first breaking his silence. I felt like there was some meat on the bone that we needed to get in regards to why Cena was turning heel. And we're starting to get some of that, and I'm glad to see that. And it sounds like this is really just John Cena caring about his legacy and wanting to put his final stamp, and on top of that, solidifying his legacy in a way that nobody else has, and that's winning the championship and now ruining professional wrestling by taking the championship home with him and basically making whatever title has to get made after his retirement into a toy. And he related it back to 2005 when he revealed the spinner belt. The spinner belt got, favorable and negative reviews depending on who you talk to. So we're going to start there. I want to ask you the question, Matt, here, because you and I, similar age range, we grew up roughly on the same era of wrestling here. The spinner belt caught a lot of flack when it was first revealed. Now, me as a kid, and being called a toy is very much something that I heard quite a bit growing up, and it definitely was that. I myself had 2 of those gifted to me, obviously the kids' ones, not the fancy real ones, but the kids' ones. I had 2 of those gifted to me on the same Christmas. So, I mean, believe me, I get it. It is a toy. I loved it, though, as a kid. I want to hear your thoughts on the spinner belt overall, because there are some intricacies to that belt that we kind of discussed before the show, and I want to talk about that there. So let me hear your thoughts on that spinner belt.
Spinner belt, man, to me, absolutely my favorite belt of all time. Now, look, I get it. It came after the Winged Eagle, some of these other more classic belts. The one before that, the Eddie Guerrero used to wear, was just all gold. I forget what that one's called, but the spinner belt came when Cena introduced it. And I mean, growing up here in Boston, growing up a wrestling fan right around that 2005, mid-2000s range, Cena was the guy. Cena just absolutely was carrying WWE. Cena introduces the belt. I'm all for it. Yes, it does look like a toy, especially on some guys like Triple H. It looked a little weird. I'm trying to think of some other champs, but that's one that really stands out. I thought it looked pretty good on Edge, and then he redid it himself with a different version of the spinner. But it just fits Cena. And every time I went back to him, you just knew that it was his title. I mean, he did introduce it. And after all these years, when it got retired by The Rock, and whenever that was, 2011, 2013, it hurt because I knew that was a part of my childhood that was dying that day. But I said before the show, I've been wanting to purchase a belt after all these years. As a kid, my parents were like, no way, that's like $300, $400. Like, we're not spending that money. So the spinner belt is definitely coming to my house one day when I can open the wallet for that one.
Yeah, I feel like those kids that grew up in that mid-2000s era probably appreciate the belt a little bit more than some of the older fans do. That's definitely the gist that I've gotten it from around the internet. I didn't realize, though, until Cena pointed it out in his promo, just how much negativity it got. And you and I, before the show, we were even going back and forth, where I understand where they were coming from about the looking awkward on certain people. I actually liked it on Triple H. I didn't mind it on him. Like, Randy Orton also looked really good with it, too. Like, those are people... 2009
Orton.
Yeah, bald-headed, evil 2009 Orton, yes. Like, I never had an issue with him wearing it, but like we talked about a little bit about like WrestleMania 23 when Undertaker won the Royal Rumble. There was no chance that they were going to have Undertaker face Cena and go over at WrestleMania and him holding up that belt. That just never made sense in my eyes. And even in the lead up into that, it was Batista. It was always going to be that World Heavyweight Championship, and I don't think you could have put that on Undertaker, so I get that aspect of it. But I like that Cena's kind of using this to tie into what he's going to do going forward, because his goal is essentially, I'm going to win this championship, I'm going to retire, and like you called the championship I debuted in 2005 as a toy, whoever gets that next championship after me is not the real champion. I'm retiring as the last champion. He has merch coming out now as the real final champion, or whatever it is that he has on the shirts now. And this is an element that I think that this needs here, because Cody Rhodes, obviously being the savior of WWE, he has a real reason to be the savior now. Heel John Cena alone wasn't enough in my eyes. It needed to be a little bit more beyond just that. So now we're at the point where Cena's not only here to cement his legacy, but he wants to tarnish any possible legacy after him. He wants the buck to stop with him, essentially. And I want to get your thoughts on that, because again, last week when this all happened, and even right now, I'm having a little bit of an issue buying into Cena, even though I desperately have wanted to see this heel turn. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because I grew up on superhero John Cena and he was always the good guy. So it's just weird seeing him be the bad guy like this, but I want to hear your thoughts on that.
So I have so much to say about this feud, yet so little time. However, these are my two heroes at the time, because like I said, grew up with Cena, did also see him go through his Super Cena phase, and now I'm a huge fan of Cody. So this is like a dream feud for me. However, the mixed reviews that I have is it does feel a little off. I feel like it did need that kind of build up after the incredible heel turn that we got at Elimination Chamber. I do think that promo last week was good for Cena. I definitely agree that him not changing the merch or whatnot, that's going to be an adjustment because, it still just feels like your hero coming out. And then the crowd has to remember, oh, I got to boo this guy now. So it takes that second to kind of process that he's now a bad guy. However, I do think that I'm seeing all over Twitter, people are saying Cody's 2-0 in promo battles against Cena right now. And it very much feels like Triple H is just holding back Cena, not letting him just do the typical, Cena roasts that we get. So people just want him to go all out. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that moment where we finally get Cena to just open up on Cody, open up, absolutely start drilling him, bringing up facts. Maybe he brings in Dusty's name. Who knows what Cena's going to do. But until we get that promo, I feel like that's why I have some mixed reviews about it right now, where I don't want to say it's falling flat, but it does as we get closer and closer to WrestleMania. It need a little bit more oomph, and I'm just waiting for it. I know they have another face-to-face next week, but that's kind of where I stand. I want to be really invested in this match, but it just needs that little push.
You know what? I'm glad that you brought that up because that is something that I'm starting to see as well. I didn't necessarily see it as much last week. I thought it was too quick for people to bring up, like Cody and Cena didn't really have a back and forth. Like Cena spoke, Cody came out, said his piece, and then that was it. He dropped the mic and called it there. Where now it was basically flipped. Cena spoke again. Cody came in to speak, put the ball in Cena's court, but then Cena just dropped the mic and left. We haven't gotten that back and forth. And the one thing I feel like I really need that I agree with you on is that like evisceration from Cena that we know he can deliver on the mic to whoever the lesser person is in his eyes. And like, I think back to his feud with Roman when he was still the big dog and the way he diced up Roman in that one promo that they had head-to-head where Roman essentially forgot his lines and just kind of left him there on an island, and he made it loud and clear to everyone that Roman needed a second to recollect himself. I need that moment, and I really hope that between now and we have 3 Raws, 6 shows altogether, because maybe there's a surprise appearance on a SmackDown here, but we got 6 shows technically between now and WrestleMania. I need that as well. And I think that's the missing piece to really get me sold on this rivalry is I need, like you were saying, I need that Cena promo where he rips into his opponent like we know he can. And there is a feeling right now that maybe they're trying to hold off on it or protect Cody a bit, but I need something that casts out on Cody. And maybe that's what pushes it over the edge for me. The next thing we need to get into, because this is a feud that I honestly was not for up until last night. CM Punk has me sold on the triple threat now. And I think it speaks volumes to just how good he is on the mic and the competitor that he is and what he brings to the WWE and professional wrestling as a whole with his ability to put a microphone in your hand and make you buy in. Calling out Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns for taking something personal that he views as just business is a masterful way of putting this together. And him tying in the fact that he brought Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns into the business in that very first appearance of the Shield, and being the guy to take them out is something he would love to do, is a nice kind of full circle. This triple threat match now makes more sense because initially I don't just like random triple threats. I like there to be like contendership on the line or a championship on the line. I need there to be more of a reason than just 3 guys fighting. So that was a nice full circle moment. You have Roman obviously having issue with Paul Heyman being a good friend of CM Punk. We saw that when Roman made his return during the steel cage match on Monday Night Raw. I want to hear your thoughts on this triple threat and the way that they're kind of building it now, because at first it felt like there were loose ends in this, like, I don't want to call it love triangle, but like hate triangle that they had going on here. Is this something you want to see? Are you bought in on this triple threat now? Because again, I was not, and CM Punk has me sold now. We have a full triangle of hate and I'm ready to see it happen.
Yeah, 100%, man. I agree. I do think it was one of those matches where you always want CM Punk to get his main event. You're like, what's Roman going to do? He lost to Cody last year. What is he going to do this year? And then Seth has just kind of been floating around. I know I've had chats with other people in the office, too, that are big Seth Rollins fans, and they're like, what are they doing with him? Like, where is his direction after losing the World Heavyweight Championship? So I also did feel a little meh about this match going into it, but I do think at the end of the day, CM Punk is just someone that can match John Cena on the mic, and he is able to sell matches, sell feuds, and that's what this promo on Monday definitely did. I do love the history and the tie-in of the Shield. Obviously, when he was over in AEW, he was kind of feuding with Dean Ambrose, formerly, John Moxley over there, so kind of did his business there. Now it's time to deal with Reigns and Seth. Take out the guys that he kind of brought into this business however many years ago, over a decade ago. And for Seth and Roman, they're just like meant. It's like a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens kind of love story. They're always going to be feuding. They're always going to be headlining Manias, winning titles. And it's about damn time that they are at WrestleMania with Punk involved in that whole little, like, who's Paul Heyman going to go with? I've seen some rumors about maybe he leaves that night with Seth Rollins. We'll see. I do think it's going to be interesting now to see how that triple threat plays out. I think there's a lot more story. And yeah, I'm bought in. I'm all for this match.
I did see that going around on X the other day where it was like, watch WrestleMania Night 1 end with Paul Heyman shaking Seth Rollins' hand, walking away with him. I low-key really want to see that now. That was something that, it wasn't even like a thought in my mind, but I've just been on the whole, Paul Heyman owes Punk a favor for a Survivor Series. He'll ask Paul to be in his corner, so that adds more fuel to the fire of beef between he and Roman. But in some crazy world, if we get, because also Seth got the name change recently, at least on WWE's website. The freaking got taken out of his name, which I'm all for. I never really liked it. I get what they were trying to do with it. It never sounded right to me, and it got forced way too much. And even Seth shared that same opinion. It felt like they were shoehorning that middle name into his name and everything, where it should have just been something that in a big match, something's on the line. You want to make his entrance a little bit more grandiose because his entrances are the way they are. Like, that would be a great place to put it. But like, they were saying it every time his name was said on commentary, and it's like, it's in the nameplates, it's in all this stuff. So I wasn't a fan of that. But now it feels like, okay, maybe we're getting a more serious Seth, and that's the curveball we get, which if that's the way this triple threat match ends, all right, so be it. I was wrong about the triple threat because I like the build now. I like the angle they're taking, and if that's what it catapults into, I didn't see that coming in the slightest, but seeing it now teased on the Twitter machine, I'm here for it. The last thing we need to get into, because this feels like the story that WWE is just taking, and they're going to bang a left and a right and a left again at every possible opportunity just to keep us off the scent of what exactly is going to happen with this match here. We now have Io Sky defending the World Championship on Raw next week against Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair is going to be the referee for this match. I did not see this coming in the slightest. I thought we were getting the triple threat reveal tonight. It would be, it was put into official, official ink on the paper, all that stuff. Like, I thought that was going to be what we got from Monday Night Raw. Instead, a new wrinkle with this match happening. I want to get your perspective on this triple threat because this is one that I've been very much back and forth with. And at this point now, I've accepted what it is. It's that story that they're going to leave you guessing the whole way through, and we have no idea what we're going to get come WrestleMania. I'm still assuming triple threat. I'm assuming Bianca is going to cost Rhea or Io the match, and it's going to force Adam Pearce's hand. He's going to have to make it a triple threat. And if you even go to WrestleMania's Wikipedia page, this match is on the card for the Wikipedia page as a triple threat already. So everyone assumes it's going that angle. But is there a possibility that we get a one-on-one based off of whoever wins next Monday?
Man, I mean, I don't know what they're going about with this match, and I love it because I feel like when you have that unpredictability card in WWE, that's when you're hooked, you're entertained. And with this, I did not expect Io Sky to defeat Rhea however many weeks ago. And now with the way they're going about it, I agree. I really like that you're just left guessing. Now you got the special guest referee match, which I love that stipulation. I love when the feuds come together and you have one of those members being a special guest referee. It's always a fun match. Someone's going to get screwed over and there's going to be tampering with. However, I do think it will be a triple threat at Mania. It feels like that's inevitable. But if that is what everyone's predicting, maybe Triple H throws a curveball at us. Maybe Io's just going to win clean and Rhea doesn't get in and she'll force her way and interfere at Mania. Like, who knows at this point? I'm going to bank on it being a triple threat, but I'm for the ride. I'm on the roller coaster. I've been enjoying the build. I think there's a lot of been interesting developments with this, like with them being overseas. There's a lot of controversy with like the crowd reaction to Bianca. A lot of people are just viewing Rhea as controversial. They're like what? Like, how are you just gonna wed yourself into this? Like, you did not win Chamber, blah blah blah. So I like how it's just stirring up all this discussion with the fans, stirring up all this discussion on X. And yeah, I'm going to just leave it at, I think it's going to be a triple threat, and enjoy the ride.
I like that. I do think we're heading to a triple threat. But I do like your idea of maybe in some way they do try and leave Rhea out, and it ends up just being Io, Bianca, and Rhea's on the outside looking in. Maybe we get the interference at WrestleMania or something. This is just one of those stories that keeps taking turns, and this is not where I thought we would be at all. I did not think we'd be having another championship defense in between WrestleMania and Elimination Chamber. This is the second time this title is going to be defended now between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. That's just one single PLE apart between the two. So, for somebody who was a little bit worried about the direction, I'm now starting to see what they're doing, and I think I'm starting to like it. The fact that I'm left guessing every week is something that I can only ask of WWE to do, and the fact that that's the road that they're going down, I guess I'm just going to have to sit back and watch. But that's all the time we got today. Matt, I appreciate you for joining me today on another edition of Ringside Review. I hope we get to do this again real soon. For all those watching, as always, if you made it to the end, greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you all next week for another review of Monday Night Raw.
Shout out Athan and Matt for the Ringside Review. Always love hearing that. Shout out Case. Always good doing the chat with you. Shout out you guys making us a part of your day. Appreciate it. For George Balekji, Kasey Hudson, this is Boston has entered the chat. New episodes dropping every Monday through Friday. We'll see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.